IBM's z17 mainframes and DS8K storage work better together along with Cisco Systems FICON directors and switches. And today's webinar will explore key details. Welcome. I'm Kevin Tolly, the founder of the Tolly Group and your host today. I am joined today by experts on the individual components of these solutions, and you will be hearing from them shortly. Kenny Stein will be talking about the IBM z17. Beth Peterson will cover the IBM DS8K storage solution, and Mike Sheets will cover Cisco's MDS offering. Welcome all. But first, some background. IBM and Cisco Systems commissioned the Tolly Group to evaluate the integrated capabilities of their respective mainframe storage and SAN fabric solutions. The results of that study were published in early 2026 as Tolly Report 226101. I will present some highlights from that report, and then we'll have the experts dig deeper for you. The takeaway here is that an official and robust joint IBM and Cisco certification program assures customers of both current and ongoing compatibility and functional validation across the solutions. The solutions can leverage existing 32G infrastructure while also providing an upgrade path to 64G with no single point of failure in the joint IBM-Cisco infrastructure. You'll hear more about this shortly, but this project focused on IBM z17 mainframes and IBM DS8K storage using Cisco FICON. This diagram, drawn from our Tolly report, provides an end-to-end view of the environment under discussion. This table from our report summarizes the 6 different areas that were tested, covering everything from new features to regression testing older fixes. In all, there were some 50 unique tests run in the qualification process. IBM and Cisco jointly publish a detailed certification letter each time the certification of a new OS level is completed. Now for the good stuff. We will look at the solution from each perspective. We'll start with the IBM z17 mainframe. Kenny, take it away.
Thank you. All right, so the IBM z17 is the latest generation of IBM Z technology. It is built on 5-nanometer technology. It's an 8-core processor chip called the IBM Telum II. It's been completely redesigned from the previous generation to include additional accelerators like the I/O engine, which is focused on being able to drive additional throughput and to consolidate footprints so that we can deliver the same amount of power we have in the past in less frames and less overall power. Another huge feature of the IBM z17 is its AI capabilities. The Telum II chip itself contains an AI accelerator, and there's 8 of those Telum II chips on a CPC drawer, and there could be up to 4 CPC drawers in the system, so this can scale out immensely. On top of that, we've completely redesigned the I/O infrastructure to be able to maintain about a 64 gigabit per second infrastructure that's doubling the speed of the previous generation. We bifurcate that into 2 32 gigabyte per second lines that go out to our I/O drawers. And we also introduced new I/O technology. As I mentioned before, the FICON Express 32-4P, which is a 4-port FICON card, a new Network Express card, which is replacing older networking technology, really looking to the future of how we can push additional throughput and speeds through our system. Now, on the next slide, we'll actually look at a view of how we've grown over the years. Looking all the way back to the ZEC12 timeframe when we were on multi-chip modules at 32 nanometers, each generation we've really had something that we've looked at and tried to improve in the system, both from a chip perspective, but also in an overall system footprint. If you look over the years into the Z13, there was a large focus on single instruction multiple data, SIMD, as well as a push to drive additional analytic workloads onto our newly designed single chip modules. Moving in from the Z13 into the Z14, there was a large focus on cryptography and adding additional cryptographic capabilities to our chips. With the Z15, we completely redesigned sections of the system to be able to fit in a 19-inch rack from a 24-inch rack, which required rehashing and re-architecting a large portions of our infrastructure. And then in the Z16, we looked at how we could improve the processor technology, moving into 7 nanometer technology, partnering with Samsung to develop our chips, but really driving additional throughput and changing how we do caching. That was a huge change with the 16. And then, of course, with the 17, focusing on how we can improve the I/O infrastructure and really drive a holistic system that interoperates and works together to drive your daily workloads. On the next chart, the last one I'm going to talk about here with the IBM Z17, as I said, we introduced the FICON Express 32-4P. And this entire system is designed to interoperate with different components throughout the infrastructure. We work closely with Cisco to understand where and what we're driving out. So as we create these high density 4-port FICON cards, they interoperate very well into the infrastructure, connecting out both driving ECKD traffic and FCP traffic, depending on what you're doing, but also adding on additional security technologies like IBM Fibre Channel Endpoint Security, which will be required not in the Z17 generation, but in the next generation of IBM Z equipment. We will require that you encrypt your FICON traffic at the card level, going from our card and across the infrastructure, and then partnering with Cisco to ensure that we can still maintain the performance and routing required of our system as we drive at 32 gigabit per second. So that's all. That's a very brief look at some of the amazing things that the IBM Z17 can do, especially from that I/O footprint. And from here, I'll pass it off to Beth to talk about the wonders of the DS8K.
All right. I like that. The wonders of the DS8K. And here are some of our wonders. We're going to talk about the latest generation for the DS8K. We call it G10, in that it is the 10th generation. We have a lot of innovation with this product that is around both the hardware advances for our 10th generation, as well as firmware enhancements. And of course, we are always building off of our existing technology. We like to point out that this will really provide high availability. So, it's always available by having system redundancy that is designed for less than 1 second of downtime per year. That's your 8 nines of data availability. That is also looking as well about how to provide strength and resilience to avoid cyber attackers, and then to restore if there is something that occurs. One of the things that we like to point out is it's really not just about cyber resiliency, but about operational resiliency. So we know that sometimes things might happen that you would need to then restore something. And so by having our solution integrated with the Cyber Vault and our immutable safeguarded copies, that is the solution that we're providing for that safety. We increased the number of resources available for a safeguarded copy to allow our customers to choose the amount and the opportunities that they have for when they do the backups and how long they keep it. With our Z hyperlink, seeing advances as well with G10. So now you're looking at faster processing times, even more ultra low latency. We see that across the board with the new hardware, you've got 2x more IOPS for those high volume transactions, with the new PCIe Gen 4 flash enclosures. We also provide FlashCore Module Gen 4. That is in partnership with our Flash Systems program that allows for up to 2x capacity in the same physical space within provisioned and hardware compression. Again, we're going to have those same basic functionality that we grow and build on from product to product. And as Kenny mentioned, we're there. We're ready for secure FICON with the Fibre Channel Endpoint Security that's required for Z Next Plus One, which we can all do the math. It's Z18. Next slide, please. When we talk about we've got those Z and DS8K synergies. These are the focus areas for that. We look at building off that ultra low latency Z hyperlink technology. There have been tremendous advances in the performance that we provide just with the solution itself, but also in integration with DB2 and the Z17. We really see increased benefits for our customers as we focus to release some of those pain points that you may have, some of those bottlenecks. We focus on cyber resiliency with our point-to-point background copies that are immutable with our safeguarded copy, and now with twice the backup capacity, there's even more opportunities to tailor the solution as it best suits our customers. Replication with continuous mirroring and other point-in-time technologies, such as continuous mirroring with Metro Mirror, which is synchronous, Global Mirror or Global Copy, which is asynchronous, and can travel great distances as well. Flash copy being a point in time, which can also be done in an immutable way. Very focused on security with Fibre Channel Endpoint Security. That's not just link encryption, but also authentication and authorization of our endpoints. Cloud and object integration with our TCT, which allows us to integrate with Cloud Object Store using S3 or out to the TS7700. Storage efficiency, especially with being able to do compression with those FlashCore modules, but also easy tier, other sorts of workload consolidation. And of course, all of this is made possible to control and monitor and understand with our GUI, our CLI, and our REST APIs, integration with storage insights as well. Next slide, please. This is our 10th generation. This has multiple models to provide the types of solution that our customer is looking for, whether it is rack mounted or rackable in your environment. At this point, not only did we release the G10 initially in 2024, but have enhanced that with additional models to bring the similar sorts of flexibility in model size as we had with the prior product, the 89. So you've got your 8 able 10s, your 8 able 50s, and your 8 able 80s, all to really address the needs that you're going to have with that high performance with the new hardware, whether that is with PowerPC Gen 4 CEX, increased cores and cache, new IO Bay, as well as that high performance flash enclosure Gen 3 with industry standard volumes or your FCM support. So that allows you to always have encryption of your data at rest, and you can optionally compress it. We have additional write cache as well. That's going to allow for even more higher performance. And of course, I always like to joke about this slide. This comes from marketing. I'm in development and architecture. So we do provide 100% peace of mind. And, I would argue that one, but that I think you can rest easy knowing that there is that encryption of data everywhere. There is encryption of data in flight, authentication and authorization of your endpoints, cyber resiliency, and 8 nines availability. Next slide, please. Just a little bit on our hardware. It is a shared everything type of approach with 3 layers, offering up to 32 host adapters. That's going to provide 128 32 gig ports. So that's going to be our transport mechanism there with delivering data to our applications, doing replication, and doing that encryption that we discussed. Our processors are going to be Power 9 plus controllers, again, with that higher amount of processor cache and write cache. It provides higher cache hit rates and speed for our background copy operations. And then our last layer is going to be software RAID adapters that are going to reduce latency with NVMe over PCIe Gen 4 architecture. We're going to have that management of internal flash media with our software stack. And all those layers are connected by NVMe over PCIe Gen 4 in a dual active configuration to provide that highest availability. Next slide, please. And again, this is our new I/O bay. That is going to be something that you would install in pairs for redundancy and cross connectivity to the controllers. It is hot plug available for those adapter cards. So that's going to mean concurrent maintenance and upgrade. This new host bay is going to house up to 4 host adapters, 2 device adapters, 2 hyperlink adapters, plus controller connections. And we can do all of that in just 3U of rack space. It's also part of that shared everything architecture that we discussed. And because of this new hardware, you are looking at double the bandwidth per lane. So all of these go to mean we've got better throughput. We have more storage that you can leverage for your customer data, and be able to have super fast transport of your data as well, whether that is FICON or FCP. And then finally, my last slide, just to highlight that security, that end-to-end integration with Z, which provides for us security. We already have that in place and have for several generations and several generations of our Z. So a great deal of integration on our platform, with our Fibre Channel Endpoint Security being just one aspect of that. It allows for us to be able to authenticate the identity of both the IBM Z and the storage before the link is established, and to be able to encrypt that data in flight without application changes, without operating system changes, and without consuming IBM Z CPU resources. So it's a great solution that we have. And now I'm going to turn it over to Mike to talk about even more synergy with Cisco.
Wonderful. Hey, thanks, Beth. My name is Mike Sheets, and I'm a SAN consultant with Cisco. And so we're going to spend just a couple of minutes and talk about the MDS product line. As this slide is showing, it comes as a surprise to some people that Cisco has actually been doing FICON directors for over 20 years now. We introduced them with our first gen products back in 2004. And since then, we have added feature and function, but we've only changed the entire chassis once. That's a differentiator for Cisco. We do not require forklift changes to do new technology. As a matter of fact, we support the newest Z17 mainframe and the DS8 in this chassis that we introduced over 10 years ago. In 2014, we introduced the 9700 series that can run with just a couple of component changes, 32 gig FICON and 64 gig Fibre Channel ISLs, as Tolly Lab has verified in the tests that have been done. So in that amount of time, we've only changed that chassis one time, and we still support that as current product today. Another new change that we did in 2025, we embedded the mainframe and the FICON functionality into the base software. So as of NXOS 9.4.1a, customers no longer need to purchase an additional license for those features. It's just built into the base OS. So it's made it a little more affordable for our customers. Now, on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the overall portfolio. If you look at the three directors on the left-hand side, there is a 4-slot and an 8-slot director that are FICON qualified, and a big guy, the 16-slot, that's not FICON qualified, but is available for open systems. Now, as you may or may not know, directors are totally redundant. There's no single point of failure in any director, including CPU, power, and hot code loads. To the right of the directors are the 48-port line cards, and they're available in either 32 gig or 64 gig speeds. And below that, there is a Fibre Channel / Ethernet SAN extension module for FCIP. So you can do disaster recovery or replication with that module that's actually available right directly into a director. To the right of those is one stack of 32 gig fabric switches and one stack of 64 gig fabric switches. All of those, as a matter of fact, the one on the far right in the middle, you'll see is a 48-port 64 gig switch that is also FICON qualified. Now, with switches, there is always a single point of failure. So you build redundancy with switches by using multiple paths from the host to storage. And at the very bottom, you'll see is our standalone FCIP SAN extension switch. So you can do SAN extension, disaster recovery, whatever, by either putting a module in the director or by using a standalone switch. We can build that out either way. On the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about Cisco's network management. One of the strengths of the MDS product line is the advancements we have made with this platform. I don't really have the time today to delve into all of the feature and function that we've built into this platform, but let me just point out a couple of things. Our GUI makes it really easy to see what's happening on the SAN all the way down to each individual port. It has full FICON visibility into not only the setup, but traffic flow, vSAN configurations, port statistics, and much more. There are GUI wizards that we have developed to make the initial setup and then ongoing moves and changes really easy. You just simply follow the steps in the wizard, and you can create vSANs, you can enable FICON, you can set up port channels, which is big fat pipes with redundancy for ISLs. You can set up FCIP tunnels for replication and more just by following the wizards. The entire platform that Cisco has built into the network management is to make it easier for day-to-day support and quicker and more efficient for the ops teams. And then my final slide, I want to talk a little bit about a big advantage that Cisco and IBM has teamed up on for our customers. In partnership with IBM, Cisco has pulled all of the qualification testing in-house. We have now installed 2 large IBM mainframes in the labs at Cisco to complete FICON qual testing. We have a Z15, a Z16, and a Z17 with close to 500 FICON channels available for testing purposes. The advantages are many. We can collaborate with our partner IBM much more efficiently and effectively on new hardware, new software, bug fixes, security enhancements, and you heard both Beth and Kenny talk about security coming for Fibre Channel for mainframe. We're hugely invested together on making sure that we move forward with security features, including PCERT and maintenance requirements. Cisco and IBM both agree on the test criteria. Cisco performs the testing in-house, and then IBM verifies the results. This allows us to turn these test cycles, instead of weeks and months, into days or hours even, to be able to turn that around much more effectively for our customers. I'm going to now turn this back over to Kevin to wrap up for us.
Thank you, Mike, and Beth and Kenny, of course. Wow, a lot of information here. You really go end to end and everything in between. I think this webinar will be a go-to resource for folks that need to learn more about this. Security, as each of the speakers brought up, is becoming more important, always more important with the end-to-end encryption. It's great to see that already there. It's very easy to see how all of this is better together. You can see here to download the document, Tolly Report 226101, either from the Tolly site, the IBM sites, or Cisco. And to make it super easy for you, on our final slide here, you can just scan that QR code and get right to the download. So that's wonderful. Also, here are the email addresses for our speakers today. Please feel free to email them directly if you have questions on their areas of expertise. So thanks again for joining us today. Have a great day.